Feeling down and lonely, and said that he had reached the end. Well, I said I've got a shoulder, and I could be a friend, because we're all in this together. Even when you feel that lonely wind, and we will all be here together when our ship comes in.
You want to hear the whole song, don't you? This is a talk show, though, not a music show. I kind of wish it was a music show right now with that kind of beautiful music. I've always been a fan of acoustic music, and all music, really. That is a song called When Our Ship Comes In. The recording artist, and I believe the songwriter himself, is Al Scortino. I'll be corrected if I was wrong about that. It is one song on 2 CDs from a project that is going to help people eat. How about that? It's the Florida Music Food Initiative, and in the studio to explain what this is about and to share their own talents with us as well, Mary Beth Campbell. I believe this is her brainchild. She's a singer-songwriter in her own right and a spokesperson for the Florida Music Food Initiative, helping provide food and shelter to our community through music and song. And Bill Whitaker is in the studio, also a singer-songwriter and an attorney. Am I right?
Yes.
I got that right? Okay, I thought I overheard that. And you're here to tell us about this wonderful project, some beautiful music on here. And let's not leave out Chris Campbell sitting... Oh, there he is, over there. Okay, and Chris is Mary Beth's husband. Is Chris a songwriter as well? Yes, okay. Oh, excellent. All right, good.
He's
good.
also one of the best bass players in Florida.
Oh, God, excellent.
I'm lucky.
All right.
As a songwriter, I have my own bass player to
That's
accompany
right.
me everywhere.
That's right, that's right. All right, well, let me turn around so I can say good morning and welcome you here. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning, Larry. Great to be here with you.
Nice. You know, I've always been, I said this in the intro, I've always been a fan. Well, I've always been a fan of music. Let's put it that way. When I was a kid, I probably was more into top 40, and then artists when I was a kid, like Donovan and Bob Dylan, and people who played acoustic guitars, James Taylor. So all of a sudden, I said, oh, I kind of like that stuff, you know. And I've never really been sure. There's a fine line, I guess, between folk and country. I never really know genres, but if I like it, that's all that matters to me. And I like what I've heard on this CD, these 2 CDs. We listened to quite a bit of it actually yesterday in the production room. Is and not to disqualify any electric musicians, but are there any on there that would be considered electric?
Yeah, there's a few electric leads that some of the old guys play, going back to the days when they were plugged in. But for the most part, this is an all acoustic album. Both albums.
So how did an attorney become a musician, or was it the other way around? A songwriter became an attorney?
Yeah, it was a songwriter in the old days in the 60s, playing the coffee houses and all that old folk music you just talked about, Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel and all the old stuff, Doc Watson, and you know.
One of the things that seems to be, I guess, a truism is that when you're a songwriter, it's not always easy to warm up an audience. You have to throw in a Jimmy Buffett song or some kind of a song that the audience will know, and it's almost a shame that has to be the case. But and you know what I'm drawing from? A statement that Kenny Rogers made. He said those famous songs, of course, he made them famous, but his famous songs are his license to do the ones he really wants to do. So does that apply to you guys too?
Well, I think with the Florida folk music, you have so many venues that people actually come to hear new music as opposed to covers. Now, sometimes there's some really good songs that could go as covers that they like to hear over and over, that they're familiar with. But so many of the the Florida songwriters, people come to hear them because they are writers and are offering something new. And so you have a lot of people that really enjoy the original music. Yeah.
And they seem to truly be enthralled and appreciative of the other songwriters that come to those events. They actually support each other.
Yes, yes.
Now, let me ask you this, Mary Beth. It says that this is your brainchild. This is your... How accurate is that?
I thought of the initial concept.
Okay. I know you're going to be humble, but before you become humble, let's just do this. Let's back up. Let's just stop right there. You thought of the idea.
Yes.
Was there something that happened? Did you see somebody or hear about somebody that needed help?
Just so much in general, and this was right before Christmas, and there were a lot of reporting on the homeless and the hungry and the staggering growing numbers. The Christmas past.
Okay, I was going to say, wow, that was
2011.
Quick. Okay.
Yes, and that was basically what happened. And I had written a song called "The Beggar," and I just had so many friends that were songwriters, and started calling a few, like Bill and Carolyn Dunn and Jennifer Wiley that did all the mastering and everything. And before we knew it, we just had a committee that, not that they didn't, instead of saying, yes, that would be a nice idea, instead they were saying, well, let's do this. And so we just basically jumped in and started figuring out how we could do that, how we could get all our friends together, or as many as possible, to, work around the same idea. And it just happened, and it took its own course. And
it manifested in a beautiful package. I mean, you guys have done a really fabulous job. The most important part, obviously, is the music.
Yes.
There's not one cut on here that isn't awesome.
Oh, thank you.
So you did a great job. I don't know if you asked each. What is the story there? Did you ask each musician to submit a song, and then you either said, "Nah, that's not going to work"? How did that happen?
Well, we basically sent out initial information about what we thought we wanted to do, and around the theme that we wanted to do it. So we were real clear on the specifics of the theme. We're pointing out the stark realities of hunger and homelessness, but we also want to have songs of hope and encouragement, how we help our neighbors and things like that. And pretty much most of the ones on there, that they just came in that way. They just completely accomplished the theme that we were looking for. And, there were some that came that were not quite in the theme that we couldn't use, but most of what we got we were able to use, because these writers are just so prolific. They stayed within the guidelines that we had put out.
Right.
So it came together pretty quick. It just came together larger than we had expected, because we were going to do one CD, and it turned out to be we needed to do 2 CDs because of all the nice songs.
By the way, I like the fact that there's no jewel case. I don't like jewel cases.
Yeah.
I like this. This is nice. Cardboard, it won't break. Jewel cases fall apart, and they're all over the car.
Yeah.
They're a mess.
I wanted to say something real quick. Bill over here, he did the graphics on that and all the designing.
Did you really?
Yes, he did. Isn't it wonderful?
Did you have any experience with the cover art?
Did you go out into the community and kind of
the cover, just for the listeners, it's a cardboard sign. Songs for food will please help.
When we first started doing it, I made that sign and took a picture of it and sent to Mary Beth and our other friends. And I said, maybe we could use a concept like this on the cover. And that's how it evolved. We ended up using that sign.
How do you decide how to distribute the proceeds to the people that need it?
Well, we wanted to have the biggest outreach that we could, so we're working with established coalitions that work throughout the state, that have good reputations, that are audited and allocate the funds correctly. But we've also done concerts in a number of different venues, from Sarasota to Eustis to Orange County, and in each place we ask people to bring food for the local food bank. But we donate our main cash distributions, where those coalitions get a big bang for their buck. They can buy more than we can for $1. So we like to make the cash donations to the larger organizations that can do the bigger outreach.
What was your songwriting like when you were a young songwriter? Was it more about love songs? I mean, what's the difference in your songs? And that would go to all of you, Chris, you as well. What are you writing now? How is your writing now different than when you were a new songwriter?
I think for me, I started writing in the 60s, and it was, that whole time was a great time for music, the folk movement, but it was very self-centered in a way, or it was about individual spirit, kind of like the spirit of rock and roll, but expressed in folk. And then as you get a bit older, you acquire some years and you expand, you listen more. I find that writing improves not only when you co-write with other people, but when you listen to a great deal of music.
Okay, and something about the 60s, maybe you didn't jump in with the silly love songs, as Paul McCartney would say, right? But maybe you were more influenced by people who had some kind of a message. Am I right about that?
Very much so, yes. Yeah. Back then, of course, Dylan was very influential, although he never claimed to be a spokesman for his generation. But his songs certainly were, and they were used in that way by Peter, Paul, and Mary, and Baez, and a number of others, even Pete Seeger. And there's that great story about how when Dylan plugged in at Newport Folk Festival and went electric, Pete Seeger, there was a urban myth that he took an axe and cut the cable. He denies it, but there was a lot of heat when that happened, because that was just considered a travesty at a major folk festival to come with an electric guitar.
Right. You know, we celebrate music, and young music as well as music that's been around for a while. And one of the things that I've noticed around here is that when you have a new, a young singer comes in here and talks about it, somebody will call inevitably and say, "Isn't it great that we're producing local music?" I will always say to Robin afterwards, I don't want to insult anybody, we've been producing local music around here forever.
Thank you.
I mean, Will McLean is a name I'm sure everybody knows, especially in the folk community, and yet we probably only very few of us knew his name when he was alive. Came to discover his name as a result of the work of, is it Margaret? Right?
Margaret.
Yeah. So that we became familiar and kind of piggybacked on that. He was our Bob Dylan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
If you want to say that or something like that.
Yeah, he and Gamble Rogers had a tremendous
Gamble Rogers
influence.
as well.
That's right. And then we've got some folks in Dunellen, John Sims and the Florida Friends. I mean, they're all over the place. We have songwriters everywhere here in our community.
Well, and you know what? In the years of Robin and I doing radio shows, we've had so many. I'm so disappointed you didn't bring a guitar, by the way.
Yeah.
But we've had so many people who are so talented come in here. We got one in the other room. You want it?
Sure.
I
Bring it in.
don't think it's tuned. Yeah. Robin will get it. You guys can tune it up. But I guess what I'm getting at is we've had musicians in here, and our mouths would be open and say, "Holy cow, these people are so good," and then you don't hear about them. It's almost like there's this conspiracy. Not that I really believe this, but. Okay, the only music you're gonna listen to is this one on the top of the Billboard charts, which has, somehow attracted the attention of the whole world. And meanwhile, right in our backyard, next door, there's a guy strumming a guitar, singing a real pretty song. And who wrote it? Well, he did. Robin's bringing in Dan's guitar.
Yeah, the big labels, do the promo. It's hard for indie writers and labels to break in.
And I'm not mine.
But festivals are a good way to do that in songwriting contests. Like Merle Fest up in North Carolina, a lot of great songwriters like Gillian Welch have gotten their start writing there in the songwriting contest. So that's a good opportunity for people.
What is the path? Chris, can I ask you to join us on the conversation? Let me turn the mic, turn the camera. I'm just curious. I'm just curious about the path the music has taken, not the songwriting necessarily, but the music. Did you ever get into that? Did you ever get into a period like where you were like really into production? You wanted layers and layers and layers and layers, and then you said, "You know what? I just like this. I just like something basic." Or did that not happen for you?
Well, my thing was the Beatles.
Okay.
That's what got me started, and I was just playing just guitar, but then I got onto the bass because I was Paul McCartney. I thought he was one of the greatest
and he was
bass player. So
well, the melodic way that he played the bass clearly was outstanding. Now, the Beatles are a great example because they did layer and layer and layer and layer, and then Blackbird. And then songs like that, or John Lennon after the Beatles, the Working Class Hero, that kind of a thing. So I guess that's why I'm asking that, is because it seems like when I observe other musicians, they will kind of start piling on all the technology, and then they get to a point where they say, like Springsteen did this. He piled and piled and piled, except in his case it wasn't technology, it was other musicians. And then he said, "You know what, I'm going to take a 4-track cassette and do Nebraska." Hopefully you know what I'm talking about there. But it was just him and a guitar and I think a harmonica, right? So did that not happen for you?
Well, mine was just, I just started getting started just playing, by myself. And then if I was in a group, then I'd be joining the group and playing bass with the, so. But I had an experience. I've started out in Austin, Texas, where I graduated from Texas.
Okay.
And then my parents said, "Well, I want to play music." So, "Well, come over here to Jamaica." So they were in the State Department, So if they put me in the hotbed of music.
Oh yeah.
What do they know?
Wow.
So I ended up teaching school there for 2 years, but I got did a little help to another singer, and we did little recordings there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it was
nice.
long story. So, but I've gone through every genre of music you can think of. So
Chris is playing a gig now at a place in Winter Park with just a mandolin player and himself on bass.
Oh, really?
And we sat in the other night and listened, and it was unbelievable. He sounds like a whole jazz quartet.
Oh, wow.
And just a fabulous combination.
We went on a big tangent there just because I'm so interested in what you all do. I wanted to make sure we are fair to the CD, and we also have another song queued up before we hear something live from Bill. Let's see. What do I have here? Is it Gail? Yeah, I think Gail is the next one, right? Gail Carson?
Next.
And what is her song called?
Holding a Sign.
Holding a Sign. Okay, this is Gail Carson. It's a song she has written and recorded called Holding a Sign, and here it is.
There's a man on the corner, dirty and defeated. He's holding a sign. He's holding a sign. Every scar has a story. Every stain has a lesson. He's holding a sign. He's holding a sign. Will you roll down your window or wait for the green light and roll on by?
Oh, we all know that feeling, right?
And avoid his eyes.
Gail has such a beautiful voice, by the way. She's a talented songwriter, and you all are talented songwriters. Do any of you know Leonard Cohen? Are you familiar with Leonard Cohen's work?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hallelujah to all the stuff Judy Collins covered of his. It was incredible.
And okay, that's a great point, because a lot of the music we know of Leonard Cohen's was covered by somebody with a beautiful voice like Gail's.
Yes.
Even though Leonard, I guess, would be the first to tell you that, although he says, I've got a magnificent voice.
Yeah.
And he does. I mean, in his own right. I really like listening to him as himself, It's kind of like, pull that microphone back, if you wouldn't mind. I have a question for you. Bill, do you have is the guitar tuned?
Yeah, sure. We're tuned.
Am I putting you on the spot by asking?
No.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
We'll roll with it.
All right, let's hear something, and then we'll kind of talk more about the CD.
Hey, he's a songwriter.
So
He likes to
tell
do
me
this.
about Mary. How do we get the CD? We're not
Well-
done yet, but I just want to get this in there.
We have a website.
Okay.
And if you go through all the HTTPs and the WWWs, you put these 4 words into one.
Okay.
Florida Music Food Initiative.org.
Okay, excellent.
And that goes to our website. That shows you how to order from our P.O. Box number, or we're also on CD Baby now, too.
Oh, excellent.
And there's a link to CD Baby.
Is the music available as a download, like from an iTunes area?
Yes,
or something
it is.
like
We
that?
just
Okay.
put it on iTunes and also Amazon Music. So you can go to those sites and search by the name of the album, Am I My Brother's Keeper?
Okay. Now, that is important to mention the name of the album. The website that you just mentioned, Robin has it on the WOCA.com website to make it a little bit easier for our listeners. Just go to today's schedule for AM Ocala Live. Bill Whitaker, you've got a song prepared. I'm ready to be your mixing man here. So,
well, what we'll do is just do a 30-second review of folk music.
Okay.
In the early days, Joan Baez started out, because I've got a classical guitar here in the studio with you, Larry and Robin. And so she just did very simple finger picking, just like that. Then along came Simon and Garfunkel, and they got pretty sophisticated with what they were doing. And you would hear like the box or that kind of stuff. But now on our album, we have some finger picking like that on My Brother's Keeper. We also have some bluegrass and blues stylings. We've got a couple artists that are really fabulous on the blues. That holds with the steel. But the steel guitars and the bluegrass, you hear more like this, a rhythm driving. And it doesn't sound quite the same on the classical guitar as it would on the steel guitar, but that's just kind of a review of the evolution of the instruments and the mix. and how we got such a variety.
Oh, wow. Well, that was a quick lesson. Wow. Excellent. All right. No singing, huh? You're not going to sing today?
Well, I mean, I could, sure. I
Yeah,
could
let's
do
hear
a little bit.
something. Let's
Okay.
hear something.
Here's a little bit of mine. It was bluegrass influence.
All right.
There's a place of golden sunshine behind a golden door, and there's a place of fire and brimstone where eternal flames could roar. When you're talking to St. Peter about your final home, what will they say about you when you're gone? Did you see your neighbor's need and turn your eyes away? Or did you give him bread to eat, help him on his way? Did you say, let's walk together? Did you walk apart? If you've never helped your brother, now's the time to start.
Wow. And you didn't plan that. That was
A little
perfect.
bit of encouragement for people to help
That
their
was
neighbor.
perfect. And what about this? I mean, you can help your neighbor, help feed somebody who needs help by buying a couple of CDs. One album, 2 CDs, and it is called Am I My Brother's Keeper? Songs for the Body and Soul by the Florida Music Food Initiative. And if you're just tuning in, the gentleman just singing was Bill Whitaker. Mary Beth Campbell is beside him, and next to her is her husband Chris, all contributing to the music scene in Florida.
Larry and Robin, thanks for having us on today. We really appreciate it. You're
Are you
doing your
leaving?
part to reach out and help shelter and feed people.
Are you leaving?
No, but we just want to get that in before we go.
It's brand new. Is there a plan for another one?
Well, we're going to let that evolve. Everything has evolved so nice to this point. We're just going to let things happen as the universe decides things will happen.
Oh wow, spoken well.
It could very well be another CD.
Will you be having another concert soon so we can go see that?
Yes, and we're in the planning stages right now. The festival season is going to start, and so many of the performers and the artists, they will be at the various festivals.
Oh,
We'll
I
be
see.
Talking about it and selling them there, and then we'll start having more events towards the summer.
What's the biggie? Is it the one up in Swanee? Is that the
Yeah, we
biggie?
call it Wyatt Springs, but it's White Springs. The Florida Folk Festival every year is the big one.
Okay, and when is that?
Will McLean.
Well, the Will
Will
McLean
McLean.
Festival, too, is a real
Will
wonderful
McLean.
festival. And you've got Sarasota. You have a lot of wonderful festivals. The Florida Folk Festival in White Springs.
And Gamble
is the
Rogers
largest.
now in
Gamble
St.
Rogers,
Augustine
yes.
is wonderful. They bring in a lot of national acts. R.O. Guthrie's headline there. So you get a taste of the local and the regional Florida players as well as some national acts, but in a very intimate setting.
All right. So what's more rewarding, Bill, to win a case, or to have a great performance at a show?
I got to say, I've had thrills in both, but only one or two big cases in court that had the same feeling as you get when you perform for people and see them engaged in what you're doing. And also playing with other great musicians like Chris. That's why we bring him along. If we ever get a chance to play, just knowing that we've got a bass player to keep our rhythm going. It's like the drum set in a regular band, keeps everybody on time. And it's a great high playing with other wonderful musicians and connecting with an audience.
Yeah. I love what you have brought to our show today. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for playing live. But we put you on the spot, but it was wonderful,
Well,
It
thank
was
you for having
wonderful.
us.
and it worked nicely. All right, now the last song we're gonna wrap up with is
Land of Freedom.
Land of Freedom. It's John French,
John
right?
French,
Okay,
correct.
I do have it ready to go here. All right, we will not be back, but the song will take us out. So let's make sure before we wrap it up, we give out the website. It's FloridaMusicFoodInitiative.org, and you can also download it. Sounds like off of CD Baby, is that right? And iTunes.
CD, iTunes.
iTunes, probably everywhere, right?
Yes.
This will be this podcast, the streaming thing. There's Chris. Make sure he's in the picture. This will be on. What do you call it? Facebook? Robin will put it on there, and we'll have it there by too. All right, here we go. This is John French. We're going to leave with this one. Help out. This is a great cause. Music doing above and beyond the call of duty. Music is more than entertainment. It's actually helping us understand our relationship with each other. Let me properly say goodbye. Mary Beth Campbell, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Larry and Robin, for having
Thank
us.
you for this
you.
wonderful idea, by the way. Bill Whitaker, thank you for coming in.
Thank
and,
you both.
And Chris Campbell, nice to meet all of you.
And thank you so much for preserving the memory of those that have written songs in the past, and plus, driving home the point that there are musicians in our community all over the place doing great things for other people.
Nice to see it. All right, here we go. Here's John French.
That's what we all want. A land of freedom, living in a land of freedom. Yes, a land of freedom, a land of freedom, living in a land of freedom. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC News Now. I'm